What is going on, everyone? And welcome to another edition of the Yards After the Catch podcast. Super excited to have you guys here for another week of NFL football. But I'm not alone. I'm here with the crew, and joining us this week is Mark. Mark, how are you?
Doing great. Feeling a lot better this week, not gonna lie. Looking forward to some good conversation.
Yeah, big win for your Buffalo Bills. We'll dive into that in a little bit. Desmond, your team at a bye, but how are you feeling after the trade deadline going this week?
You know what? 6-2. Looking forward to the second half of the season. Eagles are in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah, agreed. And it looks like Howie was the only one that answered the phone this week, and we'll talk about that in a little bit with some other teams. And finally, he's been absent his last 2 weeks, similar to me. I joined last week, but I'm here again. But we got our boy Nico. Nico's back. Nico, how you doing, man? Good to see you back.
Good. Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be back. Ready for a great show and some great trade deadline talk upcoming.
Love it, love it. And everyone, stay tuned and listen to Nico's pick'ems and his bets this week when we go later on, because he was the Oracle a few weeks ago. This week we had another Oracle because Brian, we'll go real quick, absolutely hammered and predicted to a T what was going to happen in the Ravens Dolphins game. Go back and listen to that last episode real quick and see in that pick'em that he called that for a shot. So we have some oracles on this podcast, and hopefully Nico will continue the trend because that was one of the funniest moments of our podcast. That to a T, we all were shocked with his prediction, but he ended up looking to the future and being true. But with that, again, super excited to talk about another week of NFL football and some wild games this week. And starting us off is probably the craziest game of the weekend. The Chicago Bears and the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, when I was watching that, I was like, late in the game, Bengals got this. Great drive. Joe Flacco's back. This is so fun to watch. And just as Desmond predicted, the worst defense in football showed up to be the worst defense in football. And Caleb Williams threw a deep ball to Caleb Williams for a game-winning touchdown. There was a 50-yarder. I don't know where the safeties were on that play. It was, again, just that defense showing they were terrible. Bears end up shocking the world, winning 47-42. So we'll dive into that real quick. Mark, I'll go to you first. What were your thoughts on that game, that wild game between the Bears and the Bengals?
It was indeed one of them, probably the most wild game of the week. The thing that stuck out to me the most was Colston Loveland. I think he arrived in this game, 6 receptions, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was drafted ahead of Tyler Warren, but Tyler Warren's been really showing out more than Colston so far, but maybe this is the turning point to prove that he really is the best tight end in this class. And Flacco can keep the Bengals competitive, but that defense, it's just not what it used to be. It's not that Super Bowl defense that Lou Anarumo was coordinating a few years ago. And, they're trading away guys like Logan Wilson, and I just don't understand where they're at defensively. But then Chicago is still allowing 42 points. So it's like, where are they at defensively? If they want to be a wild card team, they're going to have to figure something out on that side of the ball. But, you got the wizard Ben Johnson calling plays, and your rookie tight end is figuring it out. They could have something there.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I completely agree with you on the defense. I mean, that offense we know with the Bengals is always somewhat decent. Joe Flacco is looking like he's going to play until he's like 45 years old at this rate because he's still slinging the football. But again, defense both sides are terrible. Cincinnati, though, number one rule, don't let anyone get behind you in under a minute. Somehow you're the tight end. The tight end of all people is the guy that breaks it. That was absolutely ridiculous. But Nico, I'll go to you. I know you're not like you're not a team specific kind of guy. We're all of our teams. You're not. You're more of a fan. This is like what exactly we love watching about football. What were your thoughts when you were looking at that game?
Yeah, no, this was fantastic. It was just great to watch. Great to see that finish. But I consider the Bears in that category with like the Jets and the Browns, where like their finishes just don't surprise me. Like you always like look at those things and it's just like, oh, that's just the Jets, that's just the Browns. But the Bears find like how you can't allow that onside kick to happen. But hats off to that offense. Like Mark mentioned, like Will Loveland, like absolutely unbelievable. Caleb Williams played great, but like you can't allow that to happen. Like you can't allow the onside kick. You can't let teams they hang around. They had that interception earlier. They had 2 picks on that last drive before the comeback, but that you can't commit these stupid penalties, and you got to run out the clock when you can run out the clock. This is something that we talk about week in and week out on this podcast, where teams have to finish the job. Luckily for the Bears, they ended up making that miracle last drive and winning the game, but this is what separates good teams from bad teams, and it's how you put that kill shot. And again, the Bears just don't have that in them. So I really don't see much in Chicago, but hats off to the Bengals. Their offense just balls out, but that defense, again, another year, just absolutely pathetic.
Yeah, yeah, completely agreed. It was good to see Caleb again. Desmond knows that the Bengals defense. He called it out. Their offense is great, and we've said that for the last few years. But that defense is god awful. But again, shout out to Chicago for this game. Again, I thought Caleb Williams, especially to lead that drive, he looked pretty good. This is hopefully the starting point of what we're hoping to see at Caleb Williams all year. Delivered a great throw. But I want to give a quick shout out to a guy that I watched in college for a bunch of years, and that's Kyle Monangai from Rutgers. Came in. And just absolutely balled out. 26 carries, 176 yards, averaged almost 7 yards a carry. It was great to see Kyle Monangai get his opportunity. Me and my father-in-law were texting each other that it was awesome to see. I'm a Georgia fan, but I support Rutgers being in Jersey and everything. Him dominating, getting that start. Shout out to him for being the Rutgers legend that he is. And I was like, yeah, if he got a chance in the NFL, I really liked him. I was like, if he gets a chance, he will show out. He showed out, and I hope maybe he gets a starting job. But going from that, Desmond, you heard from
Yeah.
me, Mark, and Nico. What were your thoughts, especially with your prediction of the Bengals being the worst defense? What was your thoughts following this game?
It's so sad, man. First, just want to give a shout out to Joe Flacco coming over to the Bengals and okay. First game with the Bengals, 33 points. Second game with the Bengals, 38 points. Third game with the Bengals, 42 points. I mean, the man shouldn't be doing this well. I mean, even Joe Burrow to some degrees wasn't doing quite this well this year. Like it's not easy to play behind that offensive line, which is absolute garbage on the Bengals team. With that being said, unfortunately for Joe Flacco, that his first game there, the defense gave up 31 points, then gave up 39 points, then gave up 47 points. So they didn't want to be outdone by their offense that was getting better every week. I feel bad for the Bengals offense, and you're seeing that frustration kind of come out. You saw Chase Brown in his interview after the game was over, just ripping into the defense, which I feel like more people need to do that. This civility of being like, oh, you can't call out your team in the media. I think you should call out your team in the media because what the hell is going on with the Bengals defense? Do these guys even care that they're getting paid millions of dollars to play defensive football? I mean, are they some of the best players in the NFL? No, but there is still some pride that should be had. Like the touchdown to Loveland, for instance,
Mhm.
he was sandwiched in between two safeties. They were both on either side of him. And the one safety just threw his elbow into
Elbow
him,
at him,
didn't
yeah.
even attempt to wrap up. The guy obviously bounced off because he's a giant human, and he runs in for like a 40-yard touchdown. Like that's just cowardly tackling, like that's just giving up on
Yeah.
the play. You know what it is? So like I feel for the offensive players of the Bengals because this team should probably be in a position to compete for a 7 seed when Joe Burrow comes back in December, but their season's probably going to be over here next week because their defense obviously is on par with some defense that we'd see like in the Big 12 a few years ago. It's just horrendously bad.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with your points because I think when we saw Flacco, I think we're all kind of shocked how well he's played in that offense, and we always knew if the Bengals obviously that the defense buttons up a little, they were a really really good team, and then if they kept like you just said, like the Bengals be in contention right now, like and everyone would be excited, like oh my God, Flacco has him here,
Yeah.
Burrow's coming back, this team's going to ascend, and now we're all sitting here being like, what the hell is going on? And again, Flacco's doing the best he can. How much more can Joe Burrow do when he comes back? What
Keep
he has to
her
throw
on
for
ice.
500 yards? He's going to throw for five. Like so, again, it's
Yeah.
a weird thing here. The Bengals need to button up we've been saying that for years, and it's just a disappointment because this offense is so fun to watch and they're so exciting, and then it just falls flat again, and it might even get worse as the season goes on again with confidence and all that, and who knows what. But again, it very fun game to watch, and then now we have a conversation about the NFC North and the Bears, and if they are a team to look out for, and especially after this week, with some of the results that we're going to talk about in a second. But I want to move on to another game because it was probably the marquee matchup of Sunday, which was the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. And going into the pick'em, I said the Chiefs are going to find a way to win. They script this well. I didn't like that. Buffalo has been, Superman Josh Allen, go help us win. But the Bills showed out and they won a close one, 28-21. They looked good the whole way. And yeah, I mean, I lost that pick'em for sure with my faith in the Chiefs. And people were still after talking if the Chiefs are the best team in football. I don't know. It's all weird. Just everyone, can we just stop loving the Chiefs after they lose? Tell like it is, please, please. All right, but enough of that. Mark, you're the Bills fan. You're very happy, I assume, following your team's win. What was your kind of thoughts on the game? And now are we getting in the conversation? The Bills are going to take the AFC.
Hey, I'm with you, Alex. We gotta take a step back from the Chiefs a little bit. I mean, they're 5-4, just like the Carolina Panthers. Okay, um, but I don't know. It's just coming together defensively with the Bills right now. So starting the Carolina game last week, they started having McDermott call plays again, and you can see how the defense has been reinvigorated, really. And Mahomes had his worst completion percentage in a football game, and the most times he's been hit. And that is what really stuck out to me. The offense was doing good. I think Dalton Kincaid really makes a difference when he's
Hmm.
here because he was out the last couple of weeks and we felt it. James Cook just doing what James Cook's been doing, and really glad we paid that guy because
Yeah.
it was Ray Davis and Ty Johnson right now.
Oh God.
I
Yeah.
don't know what would be happening. I think we would have had to trade for a running back
Yeah.
yesterday,
Oh,
but
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's reassuring. A little discouraged. Michael Hoyt, who was out the first 6 weeks, was with a suspension for PEDs. Comes back in the Carolina game, wreaking havoc for 3/4 of this game, and then tears his Achilles. And you see it, and you just know it right away at this point. I mean, you've seen Rodgers and Jalen Phillips, and I just knew it right away. I was like, we just can't have nice things. And but I think McDermott calling the plays really makes a difference. Kincaid is huge. KC just I don't know. They can't run the ball right now, and Josh Allen just always gives them headaches. I mean, Spagnuolo is a genius on defense, but Josh usually figures out a way to beat the Chiefs in the regular season, which I hate to say, but yeah, I feel a little more encouraged this time around. So, what do
Yeah.
you guys think?
I completely agree with you, Mark. I was just impressed again with the defense. I think all of us throughout the year were that was kind of the big question mark with Buffalo, seeing them be shaky at times. The fact that they got to Mahomes, they routed them, kind of took the Spagnuolo playbook and used it against them of just getting to Mahomes, getting ahead, get the pressure there. Was impressive to see, and I think if this is how this team's going to look, where they're scrappy on defense, and then we know how their offense can be. We could talk a little about the trade deadline and how they didn't make moves, and that was kind of surprising. But again, when you have Kincaid doing what he's doing and being the reliable receiver for Allen, James Cook doing what he's doing, you're going to have success. And then again, it was always about the defense. And the fact that they looked pretty damn good this week. Hopefully, against a team like the Chiefs, will hopefully continue on to the season. Desmond, I'll go to you. What were your kind of thoughts watching this game, and were you surprised about how this game turned out?
You know, it feels like the Bills, from like an operation standpoint, have just always asked too much of Josh Allen. That's always been my biggest worry with them is, are you putting too much on his shoulders trying to ask him to go beat some of these other like great teams in the NFL? And sometimes he's able to do it and sometimes he's not able to do it. And so that's going into the last game. I picked the Chiefs because I thought that the Chiefs just had the better defense and they were going to be able to kind of like help Mahomes out, who's just hasn't really been having as strong of a season as the Chiefs normally have on offense. But to my surprise, the Bills defense really showed up in a way that I wasn't expecting them to. And if that's the version of the Bills that we are going to see, there is no reason why the Bills shouldn't be in the Super Bowl this year. Because Josh Allen and that offense, we've always known what they can do. They can score with anybody. Like they are going to put touchdowns up, but they can't score every single possession. And so if this defense can just hold up their end of the bargain a little bit, like we saw yesterday, I can't think of another team in the AFC who can actually match them across the board. The Chiefs are having a down year. The Bengals are a non-factor. The Ravens are not as good as they have been in the past. I'm not buying the hype of the Colts and the Broncos just yet. Let's see them in January
Mm.
1st. So I think Bills are in a pole position. I know that the Patriots are ahead of them in the division right now, but like again, as the season progresses on, I think the Bills will establish themselves as the top of the AFC.
Yeah. And then again, if you look at the numbers with Allen, again, it wasn't as superhero numbers, but that was he freaking efficient. 23 of 26, 273, a touchdown,
Yeah.
quarterback rating of 123.2. I mean, you do that in efficient numbers against a Chiefs team like that. You got to assess him again. You don't have the Superman in, and I hope again the team sees that and be like, yeah, we don't have to rely on him. So Nico, I'll go over to you, and then we'll bounce to another game. What were your thoughts kind of on this matchup between the Chiefs and Buffalo? Were you surprised with the result as well?
Yeah, I actually wasn't surprised at the result, and the reason that is I feel like we have the same conversation every single year. The Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season, and everyone's like, the Bills are the world beaters, and they're a team to beat. It happens every year for the past 5 years. I'm sorry, Mark, but the only thing I could say about this team is, as Desmond and Mark both mentioned, is like the James Cook factor. Having that other guy that alleviates the pressure off of Josh Allen really does make me truly believe this is Buffalo's team, but they might need to get like Oz the Mentalist or somebody in the locker room in January and try to convince them it's still October, come around time for the playoffs. But we'll see. I do like I'm a Bills believer. I am. I really believe every single year that it's their turn, and having this James Cook factor this year, it really, really, truly feels like it's something special in Buffalo.
Yeah. And we'll see as the season progresses with the Buffalo team. But again, I was very impressed this weekend. Was not expecting that result. Uh, if they continue to play this way, I think we're gonna say, yep. Again, when Desmond and all of us talked last week, like there hasn't really been that team that's been like, oh, this team is going to Super Bowl or in either the conference.
Yeah.
If the Bills play like this going forward, I think all of us in a few weeks are going to talk about, yeah, this is the Bills here. They should be coming out of the AFC. So that's going to be kind of interesting
Right.
to see.
Oh, one quick point. One quick
Yeah.
point. I think the difference, Nico, is actually not just that the defense played better. It was specifically what they did, though. Because like sometimes when you put a blueprint out about a particular person, and this person being Mahomes, the last year in the Super Bowl, with the Eagles getting pressure with the front four and kind of like caging him in, not letting him squirm out of the pocket like he always does to extend the play. As other teams have seen that now, and they're like, okay, that's how you need to play Mahomes going forward. And Buffalo getting all of those QB hits on him yesterday. Like everyone kind of knows now, like, hey, Mahomes is very mortal when you just are constantly putting him under pressure. Where in the past, he would actually do really well doing pressure against the blitz. But if you can get to him without the blitz, I think that's exactly what they need to do going forward. And I think they proved yesterday to themselves that they can do it. So I think that'll help them, when they probably see them inevitably again in the future in January.
Yeah,
It's a good
and
point.
yeah, it was and then we'll wrap on this game too. Like again, I said they flipped the Steve Spagnuolo script onto them, which is what everyone knows. Famously, Steve Spagnuolo in the Super Bowl was, "I'm getting pressure on Brady now. But as long as I get pressure on him, he's gonna get rattled." He helped that team beat the undefeated team doing that. So it was interesting to see Buffalo being like, "Yeah, maybe we should try that on Mahomes to see if it works like the Eagles did." Yeah, it works, guys. Get
Yeah,
the
it's hard
pressure
for most
there. Get the
quarterbacks, right?
pressure there. Yeah, exactly, Mark. Yeah, it's hard if you get pressure on him and you do it in
Yeah.
weird ways where it's like this wasn't a blitz. What the hell?
Let's try
Oh,
that one. Let's
yeah,
try
let's
that one.
try.
Yeah.
So again, if you keep it going, it would be it's gonna be interesting to see Buffalo again. If maybe this is the turn for the season. But going on to another game, like I said, we were talking about one NFC North game. There's a divisional matchup between the Vikings and the Lions. JJ McCarthy was back. We were not expecting this result. We thought the Lions, being the Lions, were going to pretty much steamroll this Vikings team. But guess what? The Minnesota Vikings won 27-24 and flipped the NFC North into a weird, bizarre land right now because this thing is wide, wide open. So I just want to kind of get your thoughts. Desmond, I'll come to you first. What was your reaction to this divisional matchup that the Vikings ended up beating the Lions?
It's another example about why the NFL is better than every other sport. Because like you really don't know. We can all sit here and say we know this and we know that. I just said in the last segment that I know that the Bills are going to be the class of the AFC. You really don't know anything, because no one thought that the Vikings were going to go into Detroit and beat the Lions with their quarterback, who we all assumed was being shadow benched for his last performance in week 2. So, yeah, I don't think anyone really expected that from the Vikings. I know that I definitely didn't. And the Lions are just such a Jekyll and Hyde team. Like they'll either absolutely embarrass you and they'll look like the most overwhelming force you've seen on a football field, or they will disappear and you cannot seem to figure out what the hell is going on with them. Detroit is a very weird team to watch because you just never know what you're going to get from them. Forget week in and week out, quarter in and quarter out from them. They are all over the place.
Yeah, I was just dumbfounded seeing because again I wasn't really like watching this game, like hawking this game. I was just like, oh, Lions are gonna win this one. And then I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I was like, maybe Detroit will just pull it out. And then I was like, how the hell did they lose? Like that was again, it was just so weird to see. And then if you look at the numbers, if you deep dive, and then I'll throw it to someone else. It's like JJ McCarthy, 14 to 25, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns a pick. You look at the receiving. The leading receiver was Jordan Addison with 2 receptions for 48 yards. That is the most bizarre thing. You look at you look at even the rush, like Aaron Jones is 78 yards. Justin Jefferson had 6 receptions for 47 yards. And they ended up squeaking out a win. This is why, again, I agree completely. This is why the NFL is fun. And this is why it's any given Sunday, because
Yeah.
some weird, bizarro shit like this just happened. But Mark, I'll go to you. What was your kind of thought, your thoughts between the Vikings and Lions this week?
Yeah, definitely a bizarre game. It kind of eerily reminds me of like when Drake May came into Buffalo and beat the Bills a few weeks back. Like he got JJ McCarthy, been out for a few weeks now. He's got some fire to him. I don't know. I think he really inspires this locker room when he gets going. I mean, not crazy game here, 14 to 25 for 143, but and he threw a pick, but he had 3 total touchdowns. Figuring out ways to win. Kevin O'Connell is just, I don't know. I think he's one of the elite coaches in the league,
Oh,
offensive mind. Um, Normally Detroit is a very tough environment to play in, but divisional games get weird. Um, yeah, maybe Minnesota is hanging on to something here. We'll see what happens.
yeah, I agree. I think this is why the NFC North is just going to be weird because the Vikings are now back in it. The Bears, the Lions, the Packers. This is going to be a fun division to watch the rest of the way, just because it could be just everyone beating up on each other, and then we're all just sitting here like, what the hell is going on in this freaking division? But again, it's just this is why it's fun to watch because it's just weird. But now, where we thought the Viking season was trending downward, they're right back in it. Like they are right back in it. And again, if again the defense bought, they always had a good defense. If JJ McCarthy gets confidence and throws for more than 143 yards, could be impressive, could be fun to watch, but we'll see. Again, this is why I was interested about Nico. What was your kind of your thoughts looking at this game?
Yeah, personally, this game to me spoke for the whole division, the whole NFC North. Like everyone's saying, like we all just mentioned, like you can't figure out this division, figure out these teams. I don't think these teams figured out themselves yet. I really just don't understand how
Yeah,
Detroit every single week can beat a team by 30, as Desmond said, and then play a game like this. But same thing with the Vikings. Like you watch the Vikings when JJ McCarthy was back. Like yeah, that game they came back against the Bears was it earlier in the season on Monday night. They had that great fourth quarter or
yeah.
whatever. But
We
besides
all were
that,
praising
like
JJ McCarthy that day. We're like,
yeah,
yeah,
like
he's here, he's arrived.
like yeah, that's what I mean. Like besides that, he looks like he's not been great. Like and it's just so weird to me how inconsistent this division is, and especially the Detroit Lions. And you can even say the Minnesota Vikings, but yeah, like the numbers were really surprising. The stats obviously were not there for anybody, but that's what you got to do to win football games. And as Mark said, like divisional games are weird, but especially NFC North division games, it's weird.
Yeah, and that's why I said I think it's going to be so exciting because we're going to be scratching our heads in this division at times because I'm going to be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So with that, we'll move right along. We're just going to briefly talk here because this game was a blowout, but there was a significant story that came out of it, which was Sunday Night Football, Seahawks Commanders. Seahawks just absolutely dominated the Commanders that whole game. It wasn't even a game, but late in the fourth quarter, for some reason where I'll never understand, Jaden Daniels was in, gets tackled, wrapped up, and dislocated his elbow. Like he just poked. It was a brutal, brutal injury. He's out indefinitely. And now the question mark is that always thing is like the Commanders just RG3 Jaden Daniels, and we hope and pray that that's not the case. This is non-throwing arm, so there's like always a promising thing there. But it's more the optics of everything. In a blowout game, why do you have him there when there is absolutely no shot of coming back? This wasn't the Giants Broncos game where they're chipping away, chipping away, chipping away, and Bo Nix leads them to win. This game was well out of hand. So I just want to get you guys quick thoughts on what you thought about that injury. Is this going to cause a ripple effect of certain things and certain coaching with the backlash that happened now that we lose a guy that had this great up and coming story with his Commanders team, and now the Commanders season is definitely over because they also lost Lattimore for the rest of the year. I just want to get your guys' quick thoughts on what you thought about that moment, and if there's going to be any crazy ripple effects from that. So, Mark, what were your thoughts seeing Daniels go down and the repercussions from that?
Yeah, during the game, I guess I didn't really see the angle that I saw on Twitter the next morning.
Hmm.
That's a gruesome injury. I mean, that's it's no one likes to see that for an up and coming player. He had a great season last year. But coming out, I was a little concerned with him injury wise. I think this might have been kind of just like a freak injury based off the way he was tackled, but it's just yet another injury with Jaden Daniels, and this team has really fallen off from last year. And
Yeah.
Seattle is just becoming a serious contender. Trading for Shaheed, JSN is just having an amazing year. So, but yeah, I don't know why he was playing at that point in the game. He's so valuable to the team, especially this year where your team has kind of fallen off, and it's like all you have is Jaden Daniels, but he's playing down multiple scores. I don't know. It's funny to me. Like there's games like where the Bills are ahead by multiple scores, and like Josh Allen's still playing, and I'm like, why is he still playing? So it's like it's the other side of
Yeah.
the spectrum, but yeah, you got to protect your guy, and that's seemingly one of the few things they have at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We agreed. Desmond, I'll go to you. What were your kind of thoughts on that moment from that game?
That's just a bad move by Dan Quinn. It was 38-7, the fourth quarter. It was so over. Everyone could see it was over. And Jaden Daniels is a quarterback. He's not going to change his instincts depending on the down and distance or what the score is in the game. Like if he sees a lane to run, he's going to run. That's who he is. You as a coach need to know that. And why are we putting our quarterback in position to get hurt in a game where it means nothing at that point in time? And that actually is, I mean, I don't understand like why you wouldn't just put Marcus Mariota in there. I
Hmm.
mean, the backups want to get on the field too sometimes. So, I know that from like a fan experience, you don't want to see the backups go into the game, but at a certain point, it's like, hey, this game was well in hand. And just really quickly, Seattle looks incredibly good right
Hmm.
now. This actually goes to the point that I was making last week, where I thought that 1 through 7 of the teams in the NFC that are going to get into the playoffs, I think any one of them could go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, the NFC is going to be super tough this year in the playoffs. I mean, Seattle could sneak in there as like a 5, like a 6 or a 7 seed. Like that's how deep the conference is right now, and they look really scary.
Yeah. I know we said we have a lot of oracles on this show, and I want to say I'm luckily to be one of them because I said my team to watch was the Seattle Seahawks because one of the Sam Darnold thing, but I thought the defense was pretty good and their offense would be fun. They proved me right. They proved me right all season. They are a fun ass team to watch. And I
Yeah,
said the one thing I said early on was like it's gonna be interesting to see Sam Darnold away from Kevin O'Connell and see if that was just like a blip of the radar or if he's
Yep.
the real deal. He's the real
real
deal. Like
deal.
he is the real deal. Kevin O'Connell fixed him, or whoever else, like every stoplight fixed him. Now he's all buttoned up and he's still playing with that extreme confidence in Seattle, and it's really, really fun to see. And yeah, again, just to see Daniels go down, like was awful because again, even though I'm a Giants fan, I think he's a hell of a player, and I never like to see a star player go down. But just to see Seattle dominate them that whole game, that's why I was sitting there like, why the hell was he in when I saw the report later that day about it? It's all the gruesome injury. But Nico, I'll go to you, and then we'll bounce to our last game before we talk some trade deadline stuff. What were your kind of thoughts seeing Daniels go down in that game?
Yeah, I have a little different take on this. I don't mind quarterbacks staying in a game to an extent. Like a guy like Josh Allen, a guy like a Matthew Stafford, a guy that isn't going to put their body on the line at that point of the game. But like like Desmond said, like Jaden Daniels is that type of player that won't switch his instinct and will do whatever is necessary to put his team in the best chance of winning it. And I think in that situation, a guy who's Ben has such an injury history dating all the way back to college. They should
Yeah,
never be in that situation.
Yep.
Like, I don't mind like a guy even like Jalen Hurts in that situation, who is like going to play a conservative role. I'm more scared some of like I wouldn't have like a Caleb Williams in this role either because they don't have the experience to know at that point like you still want to play to try your best to win the game, but like you can't be taking blows like that. But Dan Quinn should have never had him in that game in the first place ever. Um, if it was a different quarterback, I would maybe say, okay, it is what it is. Like a freak injury happened to Matthew Stafford when they're up by 40 or down by 40 or something like that. It is what it is. but this was just something that's almost inevitable when Jaden Daniels plays football.
Yeah, agree with you. Again, me as a Giants fan, I was yelling at my screen this week with Jackson Dart because I have the same fear uh, that he's going to do something to get himself hurt in a game that's out of hand, and the Giants keep him out there. And he's going to do something like that because he plays the same style as Daniels. He sees an avenue to run when there's nothing there because he has nothing to throw to, and he will start running. And he was headbutting people in the fourth quarter of the 49ers game. He was diving into people. He was eating shots. I was like, he was hurt at the end of the game. You saw him go to sign. Like I was like, that's why. Like I'm nervous. Me as a Giants fan, that like Dart's not going to last the rest of the year if he does that because it's similar style. They're young. They like to play that aggressive. Their five avenues like to run. They like to be athletic. But in a moment like that, sometimes someone has to step in their way and be like, hey, man, play conservative here, buddy. Take it easy, or like bench them just to get them out of their own way. And we didn't see that from Quinn, and now it costs them what we thought was going to be a promising season, cost them the rest of the year. Because again, they could have turned it around. Again, that game was a blowout, and that was probably the end of their season. But the fact that we didn't even have them to have a fighting chance here is brutal. Is brutal. So again, thoughts with Daniels. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a physical therapist. It said that on throwing shoulder elbow dislocations, like obviously the promising thing as a quarterback in the NFL, and he should bounce back depending on what the results are. So hopefully that's the case. I don't think he plays the rest of the year because I think the Commander season's done. It doesn't make sense. But again, if Marcus Mariota gets a few wins here and there, we might see him by the end of the year. Who knows? But with that, we'll talk our last game
Yeah.
of this week, which I think is probably the second surprising result. I think you guys will agree from this weekend, which is Monday Night Football, and the Cardinals on the road, giving the Cowboys their first home loss this season, winning 27-17. I know the Cowboys defense is pretty bad, but Jacoby Brissett pretty much just stole Kyler Murray's job as Kyler Murray goes off to IR because Jacoby Brissett's done a great job, and he did it again. I was shocked by this. I thought the Cowboys' offense was clicking, and I didn't believe in the Cardinals, but again, they proved me wrong. Jacoby Brissett's been balling out, and they get the win. So Nico, I'll go to you here first. What was your kind of thoughts between the Cardinals and the Cowboys, and were you as shocked as me with that result?
Yeah, I really thought this was arguably a must win for Dallas, and they really had to go out there and win this game at home. Um, I was shocked how flat they came out offensively, especially. Yeah, they really just didn't get anything going. Like obviously they scored a couple points later on, but it wasn't really anything spectacular. But yeah, hats off to Jacoby Brissett, man. Like I've always been a Jacoby Brissett believer, but he is actually the guy. Like I don't hate the move at all. I am a Kyler Murray believer, but 320, I believe, in his first week or something like that, versus the Colts. Then versus the Packers, who's arguably the best team in the NFL. I know they lost to the Panthers, crazy, but that's besides the point. Just the fact that he's playing this great of football right now, and in a coach that's arguably desperate, maybe they can
Hmm.
about his job. He has to ride with a hot hand, and I love the decision. I think this is a great move. You don't want to kill the momentum, and I really, really think that Brissett has the locker room in Arizona right now believing in something.
Yeah, I completely agree. Great points, Nico. I even thought if Murray was healthy, like if he didn't go to IR and was coming back, I think you still had to rock with Brissett. I was happy they made that decision. And I would have rocked Brissett until he started stumbling. I think everyone will probably agree with me with that. Like, oh, if he's up. But the thing is, and I'll throw it over to you, Desmond, next. Like the thing that's impressed me most is that once Brissett's been in, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been the guy that we've all been expecting, and that's been great, great
Yeah.
to see. Seven receptions, 96 yards, but he's had some nice throws. He's had nice catches these last few weeks from it. Nice throws from Jacoby Brissett. He's really emerging as the guy that we saw. He's been playing with confidence, running the routes that we all saw when he was at Ohio State. Like, it's great to see because a lot of us were questioning if this guy was actually going to be a star. And of all people, Jacoby Brissett has unlocked Marvin Harrison Jr. when we thought it might have been Kyler Murray. But Desmond, I'll go to you. What was your
Yeah.
kind of thoughts on this game?
I was shocked, legitimately shocked that the Cowboys offense couldn't score more than 17 points.
Hmm.
I know the Cardinals have been saying all week that like, yeah, we have five losses, but our five losses are by a combined total of like what, like 13, 14
Something like
points,
that.
something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
been
So
all
I mean, like
close.
they're going to tell you that they lost every game very close, and that's very true. But Dallas's offense has been great all year. To see them just kind of like shut down that way, I didn't see that coming from Arizona's defense. So hats off to Arizona's defense. Um, I am actually ecstatic about this move at quarterback because I have been, as you know, I've been ripping in
We all
Kyler
know.
Murray all
Yeah.
season. Like I am not a Kyler Murray fan. I
Nope.
think that he just kind of like takes advantage of his athletic ability and uses that as like a crutch, and he doesn't actually like take the time to really go through reads and go through progressions and read defenses the way other quarterbacks do. I think right now, if you were to go through all 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, and I said you could have one quarterback for the rest of this season fully healthy, would he be in your top 16? Would he be in the top half? I'm pretty confident that most people would probably say no if they really took the time to go through the entire list of
Mhm.
quarterbacks. I mean, the experiment has failed in Arizona. It's time to move on. I'm glad that they're doing it. I didn't think they were actually going to do it. I know I was saying on the podcast, but I didn't think they were actually going to do it. So to see them do it and like put him in like the he he's basically shadow benched. They said like, oh,
Yeah.
he's going to injure reserve, but they were going to bench him anyway. So hats off to the Cardinals. It's the right move. Draft a new quarterback when this season's over because Kyler Murray experiment has failed in Arizona.
Yeah, you're getting all your wishes, and I think also, funny enough, and I know I joke about this a lot, but the new Call of Duty is dropping, and ironically, it just happens to be when Kyle Murray gets sent to IR.
Oh no.
So it's pretty ironic. He'd probably be first prestige by like the Sunday of the next day, the next games ever, whenever it releases. I don't know when it releases, but I know it's everyone's kind of joking about it
He'll
because
be
he
camping
just went
outside
on
of
IR.
he'll be
Yeah, he'll
camping
be
outside of GameStop
Yeah, he'll be definitely
waiting.
get. Yeah, he's excited he's gonna be on our. He has all the time to not play Call of Duty. He doesn't give a shit. So Mark, I'll get your thoughts real quick on this game between the Cardinals and Dallas.
Yeah, I think that's probably the last snap we'll see Kyler play with the Cardinals. Not that he played this game, but I think he'll probably get traded in the offseason. The current regime doesn't really owe anything to him. They didn't draft him. Looked like a great draft pick at the time, a year after drafting Josh Rosen. I mean, I was a little confused by that, but it ended up being the right move at the time.
Oh
But
yeah.
he just hasn't really developed. I mean, like Desmond was saying, he just kind of takes advantage of his amazing athletic ability, but just doesn't have the passion for the game that's required to be a franchise quarterback. So, with that being said, I think he'd be a perfect fit for the New York Jets. But no, I don't. Yeah, the Cowboys underwhelming. This was a must-win game, especially a team like Arizona with a backup quarterback. Even though Jacoby Brissett has probably been one of the better backup quarterbacks for the past few years. But yeah, this was a big opportunity for Dallas that they just kind of let slip away, and it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense why they made some of the trades they did because they had to figure out defensively. And this year they've been leaning on the offense, but they couldn't figure it out this game. So yeah, real head scratcher. But I'm happy for the Cardinals, like Desmond was saying. It's time to move on from Kyler, and the Cowboys just leave me wanting more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely agree with you. And I think I said last week on the podcast there was a recent tweet that someone had of all the quarterbacks that work with certain elite camps and trainers and everything in terms of starters around the league. And the person who had no coach or elite camp or anything next to them was Kyler Murray. So kind of telling, like we all just said, he's let his athleticism handle it, but now enough's enough. Like if you're not going to focus on this game, you're not going to do what you can. You can't coast in this league, especially being a franchise quarterback. And I think again the Cardinals are kind of seeing that, and they're moving on. Real quick before we start talking trade deadline stuff, I just want to give a quick shout out in this game to Calais Campbell with 2 sacks because he's been like the Joe Flacco of defense this year. Like every time I've turned on a Cardinals game, he's just like done something at like 39 years old, and I'm like, this is just fun to just see this guy just still
Yeah.
play at a high level. Future Hall of Famers. Just shout out to Calais
Oh
Campbell
yeah,
because every time I've turned into a Cardinals game, I'm like, ah, shit, he's still in the league. But I'm like, now I understand why because he's still freaking dominating people from time to time. So with that, we're gonna talk some trade line. We're not gonna go through like move by move by move. That's gonna be a 17-hour podcast, and no one wants that. So we're just gonna kind of go quick reactions on certain things and certain aspects. Uh, I know I joked earlier that Howie answered the phones. I'm gonna throw to Des, the
Yeah.
Eagles fan here. What were your kind of thoughts with the Eagles? They made some key moves, some key additions, even leading up to the trade deadline. What were your kind of thoughts on your team and the moves that they made post trade deadline?
It's probably the best we were going to be able to do, all things considered. I mean, this is the one thing I really appreciate about our team that I feel like unfortunately is probably not the case for a lot of other teams is like when we have deficiencies, we attack them very aggressively. Like we went into the year knowing that we were having an issue with our pass rush and with our second cornerback. That's exactly what Howie went out and got in the trade deadline. Weren't really the exact cornerbacks you'd probably want, but at the end of the day, how many are even available? Jair
Hmm.
Alexander could be great. He's not going to be asked to do a whole lot. Having Quinyon Mitchell on one side, we really just need someone to fill that second cornerback spot, to which you're going to be picked on by the other offenses. But if you can just play just marginally better than what we've been getting from like Ringo and I forget, I think Adoree Jackson right
Yeah.
now, I just think that it'll make a world of difference, especially in a year where our defensive line hasn't been getting the amount of pressure we were getting last year, losing Josh Sweat, losing Ben Williams. So yeah, also getting the pass rusher from Miami, who also played with Vic Fangio. I think that's a pretty big deal. I think we attempted to get Chubb, couldn't get him.
Yeah.
Attempted to get Myles Garrett. The Browns told us to go, fuck yourself. So, which is fair. So, I think all things considered, Eagles definitely made improvements on the defensive side, which I was really happy to see. Wish we would have got ourselves another offensive lineman, but doesn't seem like that's a priority for them right now, even though I think that actually should have been the top concern. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah. Way to keep it all condensed is why we have you on. To talk Eagles in a condensed manner. But
Yeah.
no, I agree. Like I said, I was like, of course, like every single move that I saw was like, this is such a Howie move.
Yeah.
But again, they're smart strategic moves. We'll talk about Dallas in a little bit and why I did not think that was a smart move that they did. Again, House defense, but again, the cost of their draft capital even more. But like again, every single time I watch the Eagles, I'm like, damn, why can't I have a GM like Howie? Because it just seems every single time they call a need, he figures out a way to get someone. Again,
Yeah.
do we think Jair Alexander might turn back to his all pro set? Like, no. But do we know he could be a good player in a good system? Absolutely. And you
Yeah.
didn't
You
have to
got
give
to
him
take
much
gambles
for him.
sometimes.
And you got to take gambles. It doesn't work out. Oh, I only gave up, what was it, like a six and a seventh,
Yeah.
whatever it was. Oh, okay. But if it works out, you look freaking brilliant. Looks
Zach
absolutely
Bond.
brilliant. Yeah, exactly. So
No, I
that's why
thought
I'm
that was
like every
North
single
last
time
year.
I'm just jealous, me as a Giants fan, to your Eagles because they always make the smart moves. They need a pass rusher, give them a third round pick, get a pass rusher on the market. So there's that. We'll go.
One,
Yeah,
can I just add
Nico.
one thing to Desmond? Yeah, one.
Yes.
I don't want to touch the Eagles. I
No.
know you're an Eagles guy.
Good.
One
Yeah.
thing that I will say about Howie that I love, it takes like a really like good, like an unbelievable GM to take that. We just won a Super Bowl. We're winning a lot of games to go out and get better. There's a lot of people and GMs out in this world that have their ego too high. That's like we're the best team or whatever, and that really shows you how great Howie is to go out there and just know what the team needs and make them better for a potential playoff push. Because there's a lot of GMs that are like, we don't need to do that. We're content with who we are, and uh, you have a good thing going down there in Philly
Yeah.
again.
Working in Philadelphia humbles you because you're always 1 week away from being fired.
That's true.
That's a good point.
That is very
Yeah.
true. And again, you can't get complacent. That's another thing too. Just because you won a Super Bowl doesn't mean you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy
No.
the show. You always, especially in Philly. I've seen it in New York too. We won a Super Bowl, we're expecting big things, and our GM didn't do shit, and then here we are now, where our team sucks for 10 plus years. Speaking of teams that don't suck, Buffalo, we have Mark here. But surprisingly, they didn't make a move on trade deadline day, which I think a lot of us were kind of surprised on. Especially at receiver, especially with some of the moves that we saw around the league where it didn't seem to be too much of a ticket to get a Shaheed or anything like that, I can't think of the guy from the Raiders. Why am I blanking on his name? I
Jacoby
was talking
Myers.
about yeah, Jacoby Myers. Thank you, Desmond. Like, didn't seem to get a lot of cost. I think he would have fit well in Buffalo. So, Mark, what were your kind of thoughts with your team not really making any huge moves at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I was kind of scratching my head. I was like checking my phone pretty frequently from 3 o'clock on, just being like, all right, something's going to come up, right? Either a receiver or on defense. I mean, Ed Oliver's out for the year, or at least until the playoffs. And then Michael Hoyt just tore his Achilles. Would have loved to see someone on the defensive line, maybe a DB since we have Jordan Poyer starting at safety again. Um, but yeah, the receiver thing was peculiar to me, especially because Shaheed a fourth and a fifth. Like that seems like pretty doable. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a skill set that the Bills are missing. Keon Coleman cannot blaze down the field like Shaheed can, and Keon Coleman is being targeted way too often, and he leads the team in snaps when he just shouldn't. He hasn't earned it. So I guess they're just saying, hey, when Josh Palmer comes back, maybe we'll play him at the X. They got Gabe Davis on the practice squad. I'm expecting him to be elevated when he's completely healthy. But yeah, I would have loved a Brian Thomas Jr. or a Chris Olave, one of the more high profile names. But like these guys like Shaheed and Myers for a couple mid round picks, I'm just surprised they didn't pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. I thought, to me personally, I thought Shaheed was like the guy for
Yeah.
Buffalo, just a down like field guy wrecker. Like you have other complimentary wide receivers. You had Shaheed there. Like Allen just has time and could throw it deep to him. Like I thought that was a perfect, it would have been a perfect fit. Seattle gets him now, and I think that's going to be a really, really fun combo between JSN and him. And again, like, that's why I was even surprised, not even being like a Buffalo fan, I'm a Giants fan, but I was just like looking at my phone, I'm like, oh, Buffalo, like some Kansas City, Buffalo, they're going to make some sort of move here and
Yeah.
there, and the fact that they stayed pat, that was bizarre. Uh, but real quick, I'll talk my team, the Giants, who are sucking, so I wasn't expecting them to buy. I was expecting them to sell. And they did jack shit. They did nothing. And again, maybe no one wants an Evan Neal or a Jalen Hyatt, and their value's not great, or whatever the case might be. Or even just making a move for a receiver, even if it's like a low tier buy, just someone out there. The fact that you stay pat is kind of telling that they're just going to let this season go and be what it is. And then again, I don't know if it's Mara saying you guys are just going to be standstill and cleaning house, so don't make any crazy trade. I have no freaking clue. Um, but me, again, it just kind of shows again that the Giants, again, I talked last week, they're a lost season, but the fact that they didn't sell anyone off, um, and it looks like just Evan Neal is going to walk for nothing most likely and probably be like all pro somewhere random next year because that's what happens with former Giants players and Jalen Hyatt. Like that to me was kind of interesting as a Giants fan, not seeing them at least maybe try to get the receiver room a little better and then not selling off pieces as a team that is 2-7 and look like it's going downhill. But yeah, it's misery for me as a Giants fan again because I saw maybe High will get moved. Maybe Evan Neal will get moved as a piece. Teams always need offensive line, and they did absolutely nothing. So pretty disappointing. I'm not going to go on my long winter rant. I'm just going to have some interesting football to watch for the rest of the season. But we'll talk real quick across the aisle and then about one other team across the way at MetLife. The Jets made a litany of moves. And then, so they traded Sauce Gardner to the Colts, Quentin Williams to Dallas. They got a bunch of picks back. They got some players that can take chances back. Like Mozzie Smith. They got Adonai Mitchell from the Colts. They got some players that can take some chances with. But the key thing is they got a boatload of first round picks and second round picks going forward. The rebuild again for the New York Jets is never ending. But I want to get your guys' thoughts. Nico, I'll go to you first. What was your kind of thoughts on the Jets' day of making all moves, and especially to some of those teams that went all in?
Yeah, I love this out of the Jets. I think they should have done this before the whole Aaron Rodgers experiment. This is something that this team desperately needed was to go all in for an all out quote unquote tank, if you will, like just sell the house. I really, really love the moves of getting rid and as the Colts side of things with the Sauce Gardner trade, a lot of people I'm seeing in the media are bashing the Colts, all two first round picks, yada yada yada. If you really truly think that you can win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years, this is the exact move you have to make. So I really truly believe that the Colts are sitting there thinking that they have the team that can win a Super Bowl within the next 3 seasons, and that's why they made this move. So I'm gonna play in 3 years from now. You can ask me my opinion if I think this is a bad move on the Colts' end. But speaking of another trade, who I hated this for was the Dallas Cowboys. I think they just Jerry Jones just needs to get on a show, get all the media out there, and just say, "Hey, I fucking miss Micah Parsons." Like everything that he's trying to do is fulfill the need for a talented, like a guy like a Micah Parsons, a Jared Allen, T.J. Watt. You don't let these guys leave your franchise. You let them die in your colors. They should have never gotten rid of Micah Parsons, and the fact that this is what they did is baffling to me. And it's just a laugh. It's like you cannot take the Dallas Cowboys seriously. Like all these memes is like the laugh Dallas Super Bowl. It's like kids watching the big box TV in like 1980s and stuff like that. And I just think it's absolutely awful what the Dallas Cowboys did. But the biggest winner of the whole entire week is the New York Football Jets, and I'm very think finally you can have some glimmer of hope if you're a Jets fan within the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I agree with you with the Jets. I was surprised they did it, but I also was like, if you can get talent and picks, Sauce again, guy that's been up and down. Quinn Williams, a guy again, been up and down. Both talented guys. Uh, but you get 3 first round picks for those two guys. You get a couple seconds. Like they got a nice haul. I don't hate what they did, especially rebuild again. The thing now is you have to hit those draft picks, and I think that's like a huge thing, especially with
Sure.
the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Um, it is interesting to see, but I was like, oh, if they're just gonna sell and tank, get as much as you can, they got as much as they can. I'm a little nervous with the Colts, just seeing that Daniel Jones kind of slowly turned back into Giants Daniel Jones against Pittsburgh this weekend.
Fair,
So you
fair.
make an all-in move there. If things flame out, because their schedule gets pretty tough the second half of the year, those picks can be more valuable, especially if Jones turns back into a pump. Like it could be very interesting for Indianapolis, which is why I was surprised they went all in. Because again, they still have the question of quarterback. Jones has been great most of the year. He had an awful game against Pittsburgh, but that's where I was kind of surprised. With the Colts, we could talk about them briefly. I'll get Desmond and Mark your thoughts on that. Like like Nico said, he loved that the Colts are going to believe, and we in 3 years from now we'll talk about this trade and if it was a success or not. But Desmond, I'll go to you first. Like, were you surprised that the Colts went all in with that move to get Sauce Gardner?
There is not a single cornerback or safety in the whole NFL that I would give 2 first round picks for.
Mm,
There isn't one. Like if I'm giving up 2 first round picks for a player, this has to be a game wrecker. Like Micah Parsons, for
Parsons, yep.
instance. Yeah, like an absolute game wrecker. Like if you told me if the price was, 3 first round picks for Miles Garrett, I couldn't wait to do that play, to make that trade. Couldn't wait to do it. Sauce Gardner, I just don't think that he actually is good enough for 2 first round picks. So I understand the whole like, hey, if you think you have a Super Bowl winning team, like go out and get the pieces that you need. I agree with that sentiment like completely. I just don't think that that was the guy. So very surprised the Colts made that move. The Cowboys, you know what? Again, I think if you want to trade a 1st round pick to go get a defensive lineman because your team is struggling, that makes sense to me. I didn't think it was Quinn Williams. Like if you told me I'm sending a 1st round pick to Tampa Bay to get Vita Vea, I'm like, yeah, duh, of course. But Quinn Williams, I just don't think he's really that good. So the Jets made out like bandits here. Hats off to them. They probably feel like the smartest people on earth today. Colts and Cowboys. Yeah, I think you guys reached hard for these players. I don't think they were smart investments of draft capital, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I'm just gonna say, listen, and I'll go to you, Mark, for your comments on both the Colts and the Cowboys moves. But there's a legendary WFAN host here, Joe Beningo, diehard Jets fan, and I died laughing at his assessment on the trade day because he said if Sauce Gardner is the most overrated player at his position, then you have to make your argument that Quentin Williams is the second most overrated player at his position. And they both said them out. So I was like, you know what? That's kind of funny. And I kind of do agree in the fact that the Jets walked away with 3 first round picks out of the, pretty so
Steal.
like it's steal. It's a steal. And again, I know people are like, well, they still got hit on. It doesn't matter. Like, again, they could use one for a quarterback in the future. They can move up. They could do exactly what the Cardinals did a few years ago. Missed on Josh Rosen. Oh shit, we missed. That pick is now valuable maybe by the Colts. Oh, we can now land our guy. So I think it's very smart what the Jets did. Again, and I completely agree with you, Desmond. Like, I don't see Sauce Gardner as a game wrecker of a player. He's very good. He's very talented. But again, for him, he's not a Deion Sanders. He's not one of these all-time great corners. He's very good at his position. 2 first round picks was Steve for me. When I saw that, I was like, oh, Jets, smart. Very smart. For one time. One time, I'll tell you, Jets, very smart. Good
Yeah.
job on your trade deadline. Mark, I'll get your thoughts. Jets landscape, Colts landscape, Cowboys landscape. What did you think of everything that happened between the those teams?
Yeah, very smart on paper, but they still have to make the picks. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen this a few years back with it was Sauce, it was Garrett Wilson, it was Brees Fall, it was I believe it was Jermaine Johnson. Like they've had situations where
Mm,
they've stockpiled picks before, seemingly picked the right players, and here we are again. We're trading these players away, and I don't know. I think yes, in paper they're ready to go. They can trade up for a quarterback. They could probably get some blue chip talent in the next couple drafts. But Aaron Glenn's got some things to figure out. That roster is barren, and you got to start at the most important position because they don't have anything there right now. And the Colts, holy overpay. Two first round picks doesn't. You're right. It's just too
A
rich for
lot.
me. I mean, this guy has holding issues. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of picks. I think his best season was his rookie season.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
I mean, I guess you're looking at the Colts. They literally drew Xavier Howard out of retirement to start at corner for them, and it's just a little desperate to me. But like Alex was saying, this reaffirms they're giving Daniel Jones a massive extension in the offseason if you're
Yeah.
parting ways with your first two
100%.
round picks.
Oh yeah.
That's I think that's just confirmed, to be honest. But yeah, and then the Cowboys, all right, you got a pretty decent defensive tackle room, I guess. Better at stopping the run than you were before, but you're still missing that presence off the edge. And I think it is kind of like fan service almost. Like, oh, look at I have here's Quinnen Williams. Like, forget about Parsons. Like, I got Quinnen now, but not the same impact. Great in the run, but yeah, he's been shaky. So yeah, questionable moves by the Cowboys and Colts. Good move by the Jets, but they got to prove themselves first.
Yeah. We
Can
agreed.
can I
Yeah.
can I just ask you guys one question? Because all three of you had a similar take, and I'm just very curious.
Yeah.
How much is Sauce Gardner's play related to being a New York Football Jet, though? Like, do you think like Daniel Jones? No offense to Alex and your
No.
Giants, but
No.
like, look at Daniel Jones right now. Like, do you think guys have this talent, but they're just getting suffocated by this toxic environment? I
Mm.
get
I could
that.
go.
That's
I could go
like, do you,
for.
do
I
you think
mean,
do you
Look at
think
Vikings
that's
Sam
why
quarterback.
Darnold.
like these? Do you think that's why he's worth the two first round picks? Like, do other GMs think like I can make this guy into who Sauce Gardner should be, but he just happened to be a New York Jet?
I mean,
That's
I don't disagree with that. Like, I think New York's a very tough place to play. I will agree. I think that's why Daniel Jones didn't work. I just mentally over time it got to him. I think it could also be coaching and scheme, but also I think there could be with the confidence issues with the Jets and stuff too. But with Sauce, it's tough to see because it's just he's been on a downward trajectory, not an uphill trajectory. He's not, and
fair.
again, I think you see New York and the New York stuff, and we have to see how he is with Indianapolis, and maybe it was a scheme thing and an issue thing. But if you're an all pro level corner, it shouldn't really matter where you are. You should still be a dominant player in your position. Now, it could be a maturity issue with Sauce, and again, maybe he's just losing out to it, he just hated it and he wanted to move on. But again, I don't know if it's like, oh, it's New York. He just couldn't handle it. He's going to be a beast in Indy. It could work. It could not. Uh, but again, I just feel like if you're an all-world player, like he is hailed to be, like a top three corner in the league, he could be in New York. He could be in Cleveland. It doesn't really freaking matter. He should still be a dominant player. And I think a lot of us are looking at him as a question mark going to Indianapolis. It shouldn't be. Oh, Indianapolis is getting a surefire thing, and he's rated very high. We have yet to see that. That's my thing. Desmond, I'll go
Yeah.
head off and you get questions. Okay, your
No,
thing.
I'll keep it really quick here. I think two things can be true at the same time because I think you could see Sauce Gardner leave New York and be a better player, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all because New York is a really toxic place for a lot of these players. We see the change of people leaving the Giants and the Jets and becoming better
Yep.
once they leave. But I think for me, it's more about the position. Like if you have two first round picks, you can use them for anything, right? And when I'm thinking about a cornerback, with how the game's officiated, with illegal contacts and holdings and pass interference, no cornerback or safety can affect the game the way they could 10 or 15 years ago. They just don't have the same impact on the game that a offensive lineman or a defensive lineman or a quarterback or a running back or a receiver can have on the game. So I think if you're talking about two first round picks for Sauce Gardner, I just don't think that that's a great use of your draft picks. If you had said maybe like a first round pick and a fifth round pick or something to that effect, like maybe I'm more interested, but two ones for a guy who can't impact the game the same way a player at a different position could, it just doesn't feel like smart use of your assets.
Agreed. Again, remember,
Yeah.
it's sad to say, but a legion of boom errors dead guys where a secondary can just absolutely kill people like Cam Chancellor would. You float a ball up, and if you're a receiver, you would hate to see what Cam Chancellor was spearheading at you. We don't have those days anymore.
Yeah.
But again, because Sauce Gardner finishing, sure, but again, I completely agree with you, Desmond. Like, I just don't think that draft capital is worth that position in this day's NFL. Mark, we'll have you just kind of follow up on Nico's question there about is the New York toxicity is he going to change now that he leaves New York and becomes his former self?
Yeah, I mean we've seen it happen before, and it's not just the Jets. Like quarterback wise, you see Sam Darnold. He left both the Jets and the Panthers, and he looks like a new man. And then even Rodgers last year,
Yeah.
Jets to
Saquon.
the Steelers looks like a pretty different player. So it's not out of the question. And I think Lou Anarumo, being in Indianapolis, he was the defensive coordinator for the Bengals when they went to the Super Bowl. And I think a large part of why they were there was him. So I think that he could definitely learn how to use Sauce. I mean, Sauce still has insane talent. Um, he doesn't get thrown at a lot, I feel like, because he's that good. And I think his numbers might reflect that. And I think that might be a little bit of this deceiving part with him. But yeah, no, he's going to be relied on on that defense. So I'll be interested to see what they can figure out with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Again, interesting trade deadline, not as crazy exciting as we were anticipating, but again, some big moves there. But to wrap, we were talking pre-show a little bit, and I kind of wanted to pose this question on the podcast that Desmond brought up because I think it is a very interesting conversation to wrap our trade deadline talk. And that's just a straightforward question of should we move the trade deadline later? Should the NFL move it to a later date than it is now? Because when we were talking pre-show, Desmond brought up that it does seem early. There's times where teams sit on their hands a little bit because you don't fully know your season and then the trade deadline hits. So, Desmond, since you brought it up, I
Yeah.
wanted you to get a little bit more into detail on what your thoughts were on why you believe we should probably move the trade deadline.
Yeah,
And on
you
that,
know,
yeah,
I'll keep it relatively like short here.
yeah,
It's the trade deadline as it's standing right now is like at the direct halfway point of the season, which is earlier than the NHL does it. It's earlier than where the NBA does it. It's earlier than where MLB does it. And I think that we would have more player movements if it was just pushed back 2 weeks, just like middle of November or even end of November. I think teams right now, to a lot of degree, and look at the NFC North. No one knows
yeah,
who's going to the playoffs and who's going. All four of those teams can't go to the playoffs. They technically could. They probably won't though. So I mean, like one of them is probably going to start tanking here in the not too distant future, and that's going to be the case for a lot of these middle of the road teams right now. Like 2 or 3 weeks from now, they're going to know like, hey, we're not going to the playoffs. And so at that point in time, you probably see more player movement. But right now, people don't know what their season is yet, so they don't know if they should be buying or selling. And I think that is just putting a hamper on the trade deadline as a whole. I would love to see more player movement, and I think we would have it if it was just a few weeks later in the season.
yeah. I completely agree with you, Desmond. Mark and Nico, I'll get your guys' thoughts. I completely agree. I feel it should be later because again, I feel exactly how you feel. This teams don't know where they're at yet. They're holding their pieces because they don't know if they want to move them. And you move it a week or two later, or a couple weeks later, I completely agree. I think teams would be like, "Yeah, we suck," or "Yeah, I want to buy because we need this right away." Like we see it in other sports with MLB and the NBA, especially. They know what happens mid-season. Oh, we need a guard. Oh, baseball, I need a pitcher. I need a bullpen. We're firing off trades left and right to establish that. I feel the NFL needs that kind of movement, and right now, that's why I feel like trade deadlines we all anticipate being exciting, and they're duds.
Yeah.
Nico, what are your thoughts kind of on Desmond's take about moving the trade deadline?
I think it's a great take. Yeah, I really truly never thought about that until you brought it up today. And I really think they should move it to like the 2/3 mark of the season just to make it more exciting. I do think that the MLB trade deadline is the best trade deadline in all
Mm,
sports. I think it has the most excitement around it that week, and pushing the NFL trade deadline back will make that happen. So I definitely do think they pushing it back 2 to 3 weeks is more action, like you said, more player movement. Alex, I really truly believe that results in that, and I'm all for it.
we got two votes so far. We got three technically votes right now. Mark, do you agree with us, or you're going to shut us down here that the trade deadline should stay where it is?
No, I think we're unanimous here. whatever it helps landing a player for my Bills. I mean,
Mm.
they lose
Yeah.
Michael Hoyt for the season on Sunday, and they're tasked with potentially trading for his replacement by Tuesday afternoon. And it's like, yeah, I would have liked to have a couple more weeks for that to play out. And it's good for the league. It's good for the league all around. It's good for the fans. I mean, I think the trade deadline just gets more and more hyped every year. It just seems like it's more active, like even than the past like 5 years.
Mm.
So I don't see the downside here. Yeah, let's do it the Tuesday after Thanksgiving or something. I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
put
I don't
this.
hate that. I
Yeah,
don't hate that. Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Because like again, I feel like this year was an exciting trade line, but the last few years it's been kind of like falling flat. Like I feel we all look forward to it, and then nothing happened. This year was one where we did get a lot of movement, but I feel if we moved it a few weeks, I feel like we would have seen even more. Like I feel like Brees Hall would have been moved. We didn't really talk about a trade deadline that the Chiefs should have gotten Brees Hall, everybody, but they stayed pat at a four. Jets wanted a three. I don't know why the Chiefs didn't be like, you know what, we traded Kadarius Toney. We got Kadarius Toney for a third, but we're not going to trade Brees Hall for get. I don't know, whole thing. But again, I feel like a few weeks from now, the Chiefs might have woken up and been like, you know what, yeah, we'll give up the third for Brees Hall. We really need a running game. But the fact that we need to get that was a little bizarre. But we're all in the right path here. So NFL, listen to us. Listen to the four of us. Move your trade deadline back. Listen to Desmond. Desmond came up with this. Desmond, listen to him. He has good ideas, as always. That's
all the
why you listen to the
podcasts.
podcast. This is why we're on the podcast. And if you do make that decision, you heard it here first, everyone. We are the reason why the trade deadline got moved, all right? If that happens.
100%.
Yep.
All right. So with that, we'll wrap up the trade deadline talk, and then we're gonna go into our pick'ems conversation. But before we get into the pick'ems, Nico, do you want to do your player props here? You want to do pick'ems and then player props? I want to give you the floor. Do you want to be the
Yeah.
oracle now?
So I don't believe it or not, this week's a weird week when it comes to player props. With the amount of injuries, it's too early to get a lot of lines out. So the only line that I'm really jumping on right now is Lad McConkey, 59 and a half yards. I do think that line does go up a little more because I do think right now that over under in Pittsburgh being 44 goes up to about a 45, 46 come Friday, Saturday. Again, this point of the year, like earlier in the year, we were jumping on a lot of numbers, catching a lot of bets early. You kind of just have to wait. A lot of guys are banged up and everyone's not healthy come week 9, week 10. But that is the only line as of right now I'm going to recommend. But hey, maybe I can I'll get a post together or something. Like I can give like the plays out on Sunday and you can
Yeah.
follow along that way. But right now, if you're listening to this, come Thursday morning, seriously, jump on that McConkey 59 and a half because that number very much can go into 69 and a half, 71 and a half, 72 and a half range.
Love it. You heard it here first, guys. Follow Nico. He has a pretty solid player prop, bet record overall here on the podcast. And yeah, Lamb McConkey's been pretty solid like he was last season, these last few weeks. So with that, we're going to go into our pick'ems. I use DraftKings. Again, DraftKings sponsor us. But I use DraftKings looks over at DraftKings. That's where I'm just telling everyone where I see spreads and everything like that. Should be a fun week. A lot of weird matchups, like Nico said, a lot of interesting games, not really anything that truly stands out, but we'll get into it and we'll give our reasons why we're making our decisions. But so we're going to start off tomorrow. This is one that I think is a little bit interesting, especially seeing how the Raiders were last week. It's the Raiders divisional game at Denver. Spread is currently 9.5 in favor of the Denver Broncos. The money line, you're not going to get really any money there. The over-under is 42.5. So kind of interesting. Mark, I'll have you kick us off. Who do you have looking at that between the Raiders and Broncos?
I have the Broncos winning, but I think the Raiders will cover this one. I think 9.5 is a little, it's a little much. Denver has been playing a lot of close games recently, which they have been winning. So that's kind of why I have them winning this one, but not covering. I think that I'll take the over too. Divisional games, I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this one, back and forth. Brock Bowers is back. He looks great.
Yes.
And Denver is just kind of figuring out, kind of becoming a contender, leading the division. So yeah, that's kind of the way I see it playing out.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going with the Broncos, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders cover, especially they played Jacksonville pretty tough last week. I don't believe they should have gone for two for the win, but whatever. They did it. They lost. But uh, I'm going to go Broncos winning. But I do like Raiders covering the spread there, especially in a divisional game. Desmond, what are your thoughts on that one?
You know what? This might be really similar to the Thursday night game we just watched. Um, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was an under, but it's still with Denver covering. The Raiders offense, I know what we just saw, but it was against Jacksonville and it was against home. And so I'm kind of like, I'm docking you a little bit there. Raiders offense has scored under 20 points 5 times this season. They have not looked good, like just across the board. They just got rid of Jacoby Myers. I know it's a division game, so usually these are a little bit more wonky, but I think Denver wins this one comfortably. Probably similar to what we saw this past week. So maybe like 28-7, 28-10 type of a score.
There we go. Heard it first. Maybe we'll make a little clip and we'll have that posted. We'll probably post the clip that was put together for Brian last week in anticipation of this week's episode. Nico, uh, who do you have in Raiders Broncos?
Yeah, Desmond took the words out of my mouth. I was going to summon my inner Brian. I think we're going to see a second straight Thursday night football with 3 touchdown deficit. Raiders coming off a tough overtime loss against Jacksonville on a short week and traveling. That's tough. It's very tough to do, and I really think Denver just blows the brakes off them and arguably wins this game by 24, 4 possessions even possibly.
Yeah, I didn't see what the weather forecast is at this time of year in Denver, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some like weird weather ass game at this point of the year in Denver as well. Moving along, next game, another one. I'm a little surprised spread, but again, I don't know. Falcons at Indianapolis at the Colts. Colts favored right now 6.5, over under 48.5.
Hmm.
Colts minus 340 on the money line. Yep.
One addendum, they're not at the Colts. This one's in
Oh
Berlin.
yes, that's in Berlin. I saw the time. That's in that Berlin. All right, I like posing this question first. Who's
Yeah,
this a home game for? Is there going to be more Falcons fans or more Colts fans in Berlin?
Colts.
We're going
Colts.
Colts,
Yep.
Desmond Colts.
Colts.
Yeah.
Everyone's going Colts.
Colts.
So it's a Colts home game.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. That place is always weird. I mean, international games are really fun to watch. I do have to say. It is the weird hodgepodge of different jerseys. So it's going to be interesting to see if everyone's like Daniel Jones. I'm going to Jonathan Taylor. I'm a Colts fan for today. But yeah, this one's in Berlin. Minus 6.5 in favor of Indianapolis. Nico, I'll go to you first. Who do you have in this one?
Yeah, I think this is a big bounce back game for Daniel Jones and the Colts. And similar to my trade deadline take, I really think the Colts see something special in this team, and I think the Colts beat the brakes off them. I really think the Colts come out firing and win this game by double digits. And I see the Colts cutting back to base and Daniel Jones being back to the week 1 through 7. Daniel Jones.
God, help me, please. I can't get another group text about Daniel Jones being the MVP. Mark, who do you have in this one between the Falcons and the Colts?
Yeah, I agree with Nico. I see Indianapolis covering this game. Atlanta is just so hard to figure out from week to week. I think last week was one of their better weeks, I guess you could say, even though they lost by one. Drake London is an insane receiver,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Penix has a great arm. I mean, he's hasn't found the consistency he needs at this point, but they're still a threat. But I do think the Colts respond. I mean, if Daniel Jones just reverts back to being what he was in New York, I'd be very surprised. I don't think that the Colts would trade away 2 picks like they did for Sauce Gardner if they weren't confident that Daniel Jones is going to figure it out. So I think they do it in Germany, and that'd be cool to go see a game in Germany. I'd like to do that one day.
Yeah, I should have gone to. There was, if I only had the money, they had Giants Panthers in Berlin, I believe, last season.
Mm.
Even though it was an awful matchup at the time, and poor fans in Germany. But I was like, damn it, looking back, I'm like, I should have gone out. That would have been fun. Desmond, who do you have in Falcons Colts?
Man, I really want to pick the Falcons so bad. I mean, losing that game last week because your kicker missed the extra points in Foxborough, like that was a close game for the
I've been
Falcons.
there.
Like, and so I don't, the Falcons are such a weird Jekyll and Hyde
Yeah.
team this year. It's really hard to it's really hard for me to pick them. So I'm going to pick the Colts here, but Colts did not look good. We picked the Steelers last week because the Colts had only
Mm.
played one game outside the whole season up until that point. You're going across the sea. This game will also be outside. I think this is going to be a good game. I think it'll be like a 3-point victory for the Colts, like 27-24 type of a game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go with the Colts. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a chippy game and Falcons cover. Um, but yeah, I mean, both teams traveling. Indy coming off a tough loss. Again, they have the Falcons have been up and down, but they've proven to be a tough team at times. I think it's gonna be an interesting game. I'm going to go with the Colts winning this one because they keep on finding ways to win, other than the Pittsburgh game. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I didn't see if Sauce made the trip. I'm assuming he might have, um, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see Daniel Jones can come out of a bad slump because I've seen him before when he gets into slumps and he it takes a long time to get out of them. So hopefully it doesn't happen here and Shane Steichen bottles it up real quick. Moving along, another divisional game. I'd probably going to be ugly, but it's Buffalo on the road at Miami. Buffalo currently favored at -9.5. Really, there's not a lot of money. Over under is 50. So there's some money there, but Bills -470 on the money line. Mark, I'll go to you to start off, Bills fan. Are you calling a blowout here, or are you being more rational?
Um, I think the Bills cover this game. I won't say super blowout. If you think 9 points is a blowout, then yeah, I think it's a blowout. But Miami playing down there is always a little tougher. I don't think it's going to be as hot as it would be in September. So they've had games like that before where it's a real issue. But Josh Allen owns Miami, and I think they're kind of figuring things out right now defensively. Keep running the ball with James Cook, throw the ball at Dalton Kincaid, and it should be all right. I think Miami is just kind of in rebuild mode at this point. I think McDaniels is gone
Yep.
on Black Monday, and they traded Jalen Phillips. Like that's a significant draft pick that they're moving on from. They were thinking about trading Bradley Chubb and maybe like Minka Fitzpatrick. I heard about too. So I just think it's the wrong time for Miami to upset Buffalo. They didn't look great against the Ravens on Thursday.
Nope.
A little extra rest there, I guess, is their benefit, but and playing at home. But I have the Bills covering this one.
Yeah, agreed. I'm not going to go too long-winded. Miami's a mess. They continue to be a mess. They just fired their GM or mutually parted ways, aka fired him. McDaniel's a lame duck coach right now. I think Buffalo's going to go and whoop their ass. That's me. I think they're going to cover the spread here as well. So Desmond, who do you have? Bills, Dolphins.
Man, you know what? I would actually still take the under because I just don't. I think the Dolphins score like 10 points.
Hmm.
I think it's like a 31-10 game, which would still be under. So yeah, give me
Yeah.
the Bills large here, but yeah, I think the Dolphins have given up.
Yeah, I agree. It's a shame to see, especially with Dolphins fans. When only a couple years ago we were singing their praises that they're turning things around and they're looking really good, and how the mighty have fallen relatively quickly. Nico, who do you have in this matchup?
Yeah, I don't mean to keep saying week 10's full of blowouts, but I have my third straight blowout. I really think the Bills have a great thing going. They just beat Kansas City. And not having the lead in the division right now has a little edge in that locker room. And I think they come out and blow the absolute brakes off the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, this it should be probably a
Yeah.
beatdown. So we're all in agreement on that. Probably a game we're just going to watch on Red Zone because it's probably going to get ugly relatively early.
Oh yeah.
Next one, kind of surprised here at the spread because I just seeing how this team was last week with their quarterback back. Baltimore at Minnesota, -4.5 in favor of the Ravens. I was expecting to be a little bit bigger. Over under 48.5, -225 on the money line. Desmond, I'll start off with you because this to me is very interesting, especially seeing how Lamar Jackson came back
Mm,
last week against the Dolphins.
man, I'm really smelling the Vikings upset here.
Mm.
I and I feel uncomfortable picking it. I feel uncomfortable picking the Vikings in this game, but I'm going to because I think this is going to be an upset here. I want the Ravens to make the huge comeback after starting off 1-5. I want Lamar to be playing against Josh Allen in the AFC Championship game. Like that's what I want personally. But the Vikings are a tough team at home. regardless of any situation, their
Yep.
defense has always been good. They're going to put pressure on Lamar. He's been getting a hit a lot more this year. Derrick Henry's been getting bottled up a lot. Their passing game isn't intimidating anybody, and the Ravens' defense still isn't that great, regardless of what happened to Miami last week. So, yeah, I think the Vikings win ugly here. Give me a 21-17 Vikings win.
There we go. Let's see if Desmond is the oracle for that matchup. Mark, I'll go to you. Who do you have in that matchup?
I have Baltimore for this one, honestly. I think 4.5 points is not too much. I think it's enough that they can conquer that, in my opinion. I just think, having Lamar come back versus JJ McCarthy come back, that's two different quarterbacks. I mean, we know how great Lamar is. And I just really believe that they're poised to make a run. I was surprised that the Steelers played the Colts so well, so I kind of was expecting that the Steelers would fall to the Colts and then the Ravens would be able to make more ground, but it's going to be a little tougher with the Steelers playing that well. So I still believe in Lamar Jackson. He looked great last week. I mean, the Dolphins are a mess, but he's still as good as advertised, and I think the Ravens they haven't gone anywhere yet, so I'd expect them to pull this one out.
Yeah, I agree, and that'll go over you, Nico. Just was impressed with what I saw. Again, and I think I think we said last week if Lamar Jackson somehow gets his team all the way back into contention, you just give him the MVP award because it'd be insane. I think this is the start of it. We saw what it did to the Dolphins. I think they are rejuvenated. I think they're going to continue that. Vikings, yeah, the Moses win, beating the Lions, and then JJ just grabbing by. I don't know. Maybe again, Desmond proves us wrong, and JJ plays well, and then this Vikings team plays well, and they surprise the world and they shock the Ravens. But I'm never going to count the Ravens out when Lamar Jackson's behind center. I really like that number. I'm going to go with the Ravens and them covering. Nico, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts? Who do you have?
Um, so this one, I think Vegas did a really good job with the line, because I think the Ravens will find a way to win this football game. Starting off 1-5, I think it's almost a must win, even though it's like weird to say at this point in the season. But how well Pittsburgh has been playing, I think Harbaugh and the team knows that they need to win these games. But I really think the line being 4.5, like I really can see Minnesota winning this game with a backdoor cover, like Baltimore being up 10, and then JJ McCarthy goes on a drive at the end of the game to lose the game by 3 or something like that. So I really like the Ravens to win, but give me Minnesota to cover the 4.5.
All right, like it. Moving right along as we got a lot of games to cover. This one's probably the game, in my opinion, of the 1 o'clock window. New England Patriots on the road at Tampa Bay. This should be probably a really, hopefully, a really, really fun matchup. Uh, Buccaneers open up as the favorites right now, -2.5. Over under is 48.5, and then the Buccaneers on the money line are -142. I'll kick this one off. I was sitting here looking at it and going very back and forth, especially just seeing how like Baker Mayfield they still won even though he didn't have a great game. Uh, I'm just gonna go with the Patriots here, even though I love Baker and what the Bucs are doing. The Patriots have been playing great. Drake May has been the MVP conversation. I think he continues that. They need a big win here, a testing win against another tough opponent. We saw what they did in Buffalo. I think they can show out here. They can beat Tampa. So give me the Patriots at the +2.5. I think Drake May continues his MVP performance. Desmond, who do you have in this one?
Buccaneers.
Okay.
100%. Coming off the bye, at home, I really like the Buccaneers in this situation. I think the Buccaneers are about to go on a run here. You know, challenge for the 1 seed in the NFC.
Mhm.
They are that good. We were talking about how good the Seahawks were earlier. The Buccaneers beat them, at home earlier this year. So I think that, Baker Mayfield is going to kind of like start going on a run, which will kind of like put him firmly at the top of this MVP conversation. So give me the Bucks here, by a touchdown.
I don't hate it at all. I think this game can go either way. That's why I think it's going to be the game of the 1 o'clock window because I get to this thing being a shootout, ton back and forth. You have to see Nico. Who do you have in this one?
I also have the Buccaneers,
All right.
which I do think is the best thing ever for the Patriots. And the reason I say that is the Patriots, since playing the Buffalo Bills, have played nobody. And I think they're going to get punched in the mouth this week with a good Tampa Bay Buccaneer football team. And I do think it's going to be a great thing for the Patriots. And I don't hate what Desmond said. I really think this could spark a nice little run for Tampa Bay in the next coming weeks.
Don't hate it at all. Gonna be interesting for sure. Mark, am I gonna be the odd person out in picking the Patriots? Are you going Patriots or going Bucks in this one?
As much as I hate to say it, I'm with you, Alex. Give me the
But
Patriots with the points. They can come into Buffalo and do it. I think they can do it down in Tampa. Even though they're coming off the bye, they're still battling some injuries, it seems.
Yeah.
Mike Evans, Godwin still seems banged up, as well as
Yep.
Irving. So that's something they still need to conquer. But yeah, I just think Drake May's playing out of his mind. Vrabel has the defense playing much better than before, and I don't know. It really pains me. It pains me to say, and I think this is a great opportunity for the Patriots to pick up a loss, but something tells me that they could figure it out. I don't know. Hopefully that Florida Heat gets to Drake May a little bit, but he did play in North Carolina. He played in North Carolina, so
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
counting
I
on
don't know. I don't know if the Heat really affects him.
it.
But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe the wind's gonna change him a little bit. All right, moving right along. Again, this is another just one. The Jets on, or not Jets, Giants on the road against Chicago. Spread's currently in favor of the Bears, -4.5. Over under is 46.5, and then -218 for the Bears on the money line. I'll kick it off as a Giants fan here. I was kind of surprised with this, just because, especially with the Bears' emotional win, their offensive play, that the Giants, the spread's a lot less than I thought it was going to be. I thought the Bears might be favored by a touchdown, especially with how everything's going with the Giants right now. I'm going to pick the Giants to cover. Uh, I think the Bears are probably going to hit some ridiculous 60-yard field goal thing that I have to deal with yet again because as a Giants fan, I can't have anything nice and I have to lose in the most like devastating of ways possible. But give me the Giants covering here, especially Bears emotional win. Do I think the Giants are going to win? No, I think the Bears most likely win, but I think the Giants are going to cover here. That's my what I'm looking at. Mark, I'll start off with you here. Who do you have between the Giants and the Bears?
Yeah, I could see that scenario playing out. Another close game at the end, but the Giants cover but lose. Um, I just think Chicago offensively is really starting to figure things out. But on the defensive side, they allow 42 points by the Bengals.
Yep.
So I could see Jackson Dart take an opportunity of that. So I do agree with you, Alex. Giants cover, but the Bears win in a high scoring game. So I think the over two.
Don't hate that at all. Desmond, what are your thoughts?
Man, I really want to pick the Giants here. This smells like an upset. Like it really does. I think the Bears are not quite as good as their record says they are. I think the Giants have the ability to beat anybody. I actually thought it was really impressive watching them play San Francisco last week.
Mhm.
But they really hung in that game. I know that 49ers ended up winning by 10, but like I didn't feel like the Giants were overmatched by the 49ers. Um, I could see the Giants winning this game, but I can't pick them. So I'm gonna go with the Bears here. But it would not shock me at all if the Giants pulled this one off.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that's fun about at least watching Giants, especially with Jackson Dart, that they are in these games, whereas before it's been like just
Yep.
we're expecting to lose. That's why I'm like, I think it's gonna be good. I think the Giants end up losing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they stay in with that game, especially since Dart's been there. It seems like every game has been at least competitive. And then there's just weaknesses on the defense because I can't stand Deontay Banks. He can't make a tackle, and he proved that last week against the 49ers. Nico, who do you have in this one?
I have the Bears. Yeah, I think the Bears win this game by a touchdown plus. I just think they're the better team. I really just think we saw the Giants last week without Scadaboo and Malik Neighbors both off the field at the same exact time, and Tracy just wasn't great. Obviously, I do think the Giants do have potential with Dart, but I just don't think they're really going to have much going for them the rest of the year besides some experience for Dart.
Yeah, we'll see. And again, they didn't get anyone to bring into Dart, so I have to deal with Darius Slayton catching easy touchdowns or dropping easy touchdowns, I should say, because he just can't catch the easy ones as always. But all right, move right along. Our two favorite teams on this podcast. I'm just kidding. Are about to go. New Orleans Saints are at Carolina, Desmond's favorite team, the Carolina Panthers, if you didn't know on this podcast. The Panthers are favored at -5.5. Over under is 39.5, -245 on the money line. Desmond, I know how much you love both teams. So who do you have making in this very hard moment for you?
You know what? Forget everything. I'm going with the Saints. Okay. I just do not like the Panthers. I don't care. I don't care if they just beat the Packers. I don't care that they've, gone in and like beat some other teams that they shouldn't have beat. I'm not buying Panthers stock. I refuse to do it. I will take the 1-8 Saints here to upset a divisional opponent on the road.
All right, you guys heard it first. Desmond continues to absolutely love the Panthers. Mark, who do you have in this one?
You're talking about the Carolina Panthers who have the same record as the Kansas City Chiefs. So for that reason, I am going to take the Panthers. I don't know if Tyler Shuck will figure it out just yet. Carolina seems to be playing better at home, at least. I
Yeah.
think Bryce Young is back, so I think that's enough to have him cover that 5.5 points. I'm not buying Panther stock though. That's for sure.
Uh, I'm buying Panthers stock. I'll go for. I'm buying it. They've been a scrappy team all year. Been impressed with scrappy they are. They're beating the ass of New Orleans Saints. The Saints just suck. I'm sorry. I mean, they beat my Giants, so I can't. Props to you. You beat us, whatever. But they're awful. And the Panthers have just proven to be a scrappy team all year. I think they continue that again. They're winning again to cover and covering. Nico, who do you have?
In week three was my first experience on this podcast, and I went on a rant and I said this New Orleans Saints team is the worst team in the history of the NFL.
He did.
I
He did
thought they
say
would
that.
go 0-16, but I am telling you, this team is still the worst team in the history of the NFL. I'm not buying stock in the Carolina Panthers, but the Saints team is so bad that the Panthers are going to win this game. Panthers win this game. They cover. You might see some late magic at the end of the game with the Saints backdooring, but Saints stink, and I will die on that hill that this is the worst team in the history of the NFL.
All right.
Yeah, we'll have our end of season debate hopefully for us for the entertainment factor if are the Saints considered one of the worst teams in football history. But moving along to another game, which is again this is kind of interesting, especially after trade deadline day. Browns at the road at New York. The Browns are favored only at 2.5. The over/under is 37.5, and the money line is 135. I know the Browns have been very up and down. But I would think it might be a little bit more in favor of Cleveland, just because the Jets made all their defensive moves. I would start here first. I think the Jets are just a mess. I know we saw them get an emotional win, but you trade all your favorite players. Brees Hall wanted out. He didn't get traded. What does that mean? Like, what does it mean? After the trade deadline with stuff like that, I think the Jets are going to come out flat. I think Cleveland will get the win, and I think Myles Garrett's probably going to have a dominant performance. So give me Cleveland and give me them covering. Mark, I'll start with you. Who do you have here in Cleveland and the Jets?
I'm taking Cleveland too, just because of the trades that the Jets just did, and they're in rebuild mode. They want to tank. They want the highest pick possible, and the Cleveland still has a defense. I just, even if it's in MetLife, I just think the Jets are just kind of ready for the season to be over at this point. And the Browns probably are too, but they got young quarterbacks to kind of groom and see what they got. So I don't know, maybe if Gabriel doesn't look great, maybe put Shador Sanders
Shador. Oh, we
and
see
see
Shador in New
Yeah.
York.
see what
Oh,
he looks like. I don't know.
immediately
I,
with a quick
I think
load.
it's time for that at this point in the season. But yeah, give me Cleveland covering 2.5, but I'll take the under here just with these underwhelming offenses.
Desmond, who do you have in this one?
Man, I saw the NFL memes put out something about this, and they said this game should be flexed to 4 a.m. on Tubi. And I would watch that game, by the way,
Yeah,
4 a.m. on Tubi.
if you already know, yeah.
Um, you know what? There is no real prediction here. 'Cause the Browns are the Browns and the Jets
Yeah,
are the Jets.
Jets.
You
Yep.
said that you thought that the Jets might be just ready for the season to be over. I'll never forget the time where I heard someone just use that as the acronym for the Jets, which is like just end the season,
Season. Yep.
because it's so Jets. I'm taking the Jets. You know what? Because you can't predict the clown show that is the Jets
Hmm.
versus the Browns and one of the worst matchups of the week, maybe of the season. So it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to take the Jets anyway because you know they're going to probably win at least one more game this season. I'm picking it as this one right here because the Browns also have no idea what the hell they're doing either. So yeah,
Yeah.
Fair
Yes.
enough.
I think it's just going to be such an ugly, ugly
ugly
game.
game.
It's going to be so bad. Nico, who do you have?
I have the Browns, but I do want to say, how fun would it be if the New York Jets just tormented their fan base even more and ripped off like three straight wins, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my God, this team had hope," and like that would just be so New York Jets to do that. But I just don't see it. I think like you guys, both Alex and Mark mentioned, like I just think the Jets packed it in. Give me the Browns winning this game and covering, but it would be phenomenal just to see the Jets do that to their fan base.
The
Yeah.
Jets did win their last game, scoring 39 points, by the way.
They did.
Just
They did. That's
They
why
did.
it could be weird. Like, oh, just we have an offense now. What would be please God. Uh, moving right along. Again, surprising or special with the news of an injury news, but Jacksonville at Houston. Jacksonville's favored -1.5. Over under 37.5, -122 in favor of Jacksonville. CJ Stroud out, concussion in this game. I was surprised the money line or the spread didn't move in favor of Jacksonville after that news. Mark, I'll kick it off with you first. Who do you have here between Jacksonville and Houston?
Well, I'll take Jacksonville for sure. Just with CJ Stroud being out alone. I mean, Houston isn't the easiest stadium to play at, but I think Jacksonville's played there enough. And you got a nice little toy with Jacoby Myers. They're competitive this year. I think they're better defensively. Liam Cohen is connecting with that locker room to an extent to which they are competitive, and they're playing better than the Texans have so far, which I wouldn't have expected going into this year. So yeah, give me Jacksonville covering this game, and I'll take the under though. I'll take the under.
Nico, who do you have?
Yeah, I got Jacksonville. I do personally think if Spencer Rattler was a starter, I'd also said that he was the worst starting quarterback in the history of the NFL. Since he is the backup, he's the worst backup in the NFL. But besides him, it's Davis Mills. Davis Mills stinks. It stinks out loud, and I really think Jacksonville just dominates this game. I feel bad for CJ Stroud. You never want to see a quarterback take a hit like that.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the Flacco versus the Dolphins years ago on Thursday Night Football, a hit like that. But yeah, hope speedy recovery for CJ Stroud, and hopefully he'll be back in the lineup come next week.
Completely agree. Desmond, who do you have?
not even trying to be a contrarian here, but I really like the Texans. I think the Jaguars are like the Falcons of the AFC. You just
Yeah.
never know what you're going to get from them. They'll beat the Chiefs one week, then get blown out 35-7 to the Rams, like right after that. Struggle against the Raiders, a team that really hasn't been able to compete with anybody this year, lost 31-0 to the Chiefs. I mean, like this being a division game on the road. I just saw the Texans last week play a 3-point game against the Broncos, who we all think
Yeah.
is good. That was with Davis Mills being in most of the game because Stroud went out early in that game. So yeah, I like the Texans at home in a divisional matchup against a team in the Jaguars who cannot seem to figure out who they are this season. Are they the team that beats the Chiefs, or are they the team that gets blown out by the Rams? So yeah, give me the Texans here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jacksonville here just because without Stroud, and I never really trust Mills, but the Texans. I'm just saying more because I hope this is the Jacksonville shows us this is the team again that beat that Chiefs team. Like where we were singing their praises on this podcast after that win,
Yeah.
and how great they played, and we haven't seen that since that moment. You would think that would let them ascend. We were saying like, oh, this team it can come out there, they're looking great, and they haven't taken advantage of that moment. So I'm picking Jacksonville because this should be the game where you take advantage of that moment. The other side doesn't have their starting quarterback. The other side has been up and down, especially with the offensive line. You got to take advantage here. I know the Jags had the defensive injuries, and they don't have Travis Hunter and stuff like that. Uh, but this is the type of week where you have to take advantage, and hopefully this week, because I'm picking them. But again, I hope they show that when we sung the praise a few weeks ago, they showed that again this week against that Texans team. But I'll cover it for the 1 o'clock games, and I'm moving over to the 4 o'clock games. We got the Cardinals at Seattle. Seattle's favored by a touchdown, -6.5. Over under is 45.5, -305 here on the money line in favor of Seattle. Nico, I'll start off with you. Who do you have here between the Cardinals and the Seahawks?
As of right now, this is my pick of the week, spread wise, and the number right now is down to 7, but I think you should buy it up to Arizona plus 7.5.
Mm.
Jacoby Brissett is hot. Everyone is going to be all over Seattle this week, but the line is continuing to trend in the other direction. This line opened up at 8 on Monday after the Seattle game, and right now is currently at 7, even 6.5 on some books. That really shows me that Vegas loves Arizona. And when Vegas loves a team in a spot like this, I love a team in a spot like this. So give me the Cardinals plus 7, plus 7.5.
Don't hate it. I agree with you. I know we've sung the praises of Seattle, but it's just been fun to see this Arizona team rally behind Jacoby. Again, I think Seattle will probably win this game, but I do like the number here for the Cardinals. I think they cover it. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people anticipate. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle wins, by a field goal here. But yeah, I really like the number of Arizona as well, so I'm going to take them to cover. Mark, I'll go to you, and we'll go to Desmond. Who do you have between the Cardinals and Seattle?
Give me a Seattle covering this one. I still think it'll go over just because of the way both these offenses are playing, with Jacoby in Arizona, and Sam Darnold in Seattle. But I kind of see Seattle just throwing some deep balls to Shaheed, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and just kind of taking care of business at home. Hard place to play. Jacoby's a backup for a reason. I don't see him sustaining a level of play like he did against the Cowboys for the rest of the season. So I think Seattle emerges as a contender, and like they already have. So I have them covering this spread here.
Okay. Desmond, who do you have?
The last time these two teams played, Seattle only won by 3, and that was in Arizona. I like the Cardinals to keep it close, but I'm taking the over here. I think 28-24 Seattle is the route I'm going with this game.
Yeah, I don't hate that either. Like I said, I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people anticipating. Hopefully, I think it would be fun to see a division matchup back and forth, especially with the Cardinals after sung the, we've bashed them most of the year with Kyler Murray. Now this
Yeah.
story would be interesting to see. I think it's going to be interesting for sure. Moving along, another game was interesting on paper going into this moment, but now is obviously deflated. It's Detroit on the road against the Commanders. Detroit favored -7.5, over under is 49.5, -40 70 on the money line. I'll kick us off. I'm going over the Lions here, and I'm going to have them cover. I think the Commanders are done. It's unfortunate. The injuries are mounting up. They don't have a starting quarterback. I know Mariota showed flashes here and there, but this Lions team coming off a tough loss, I think, is in a perfect bounce back spot against a team that's on the ropes, a team that's beat up. So give me the Lions in covering. Desmond, I'll go to you. Who do you have?
Yeah, same here. I think the Commanders are going to be a bit deflated. I think Detroit's going to be embarrassed about losing at
Hmm.
home last week. So Lions bounce back game. I also like them covering here.
Nico.
Um, Give me Washington. The
Ooh.
cover. And
Oh,
if I do the pick 'em pool,
Womp womp.
I would probably go Washington to take in this game. The reason why I say that is because Detroit has been so inconsistent, and Mariota really hasn't played that bad. Where this offense is kind of used to Mariota and how they play. A lot of checkdowns, a lot of quarterback option and runs. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of last man standing pools end this week, because Washington wins this game outright.
All right.
wait,
All
so are you
right.
picking the Commanders to win outright?
I am. I am. I will.
Okay.
I will be
All
betting
right.
them to cover. I'm going to be honest. Like I will never share something that I wouldn't bet. I won't bet them plus 300. But if I had to pick in like a pick 'em pool or something like that, I think the Commanders win this football game.
Okay.
All
I
right.
just
Mark.
plus 300 is a little too low for my liking. Plus
Look,
500, 600, yeah, we'll do it. But
Mark, who do you have?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree. I'll take the Commanders covering this one with those points. Marcus Mariota is no he's he's not a rookie. I mean, he's been around the league. He's won games before. He's won playoff games, and I don't know. I think Detroit probably wins this game, But with that spread, I can see Mariota covering easily. And give me the over too. Mariota is good enough to keep that offense on schedule, and we know what the Lions can do offensively. So high scoring game. Um, Washington covers, Detroit wins.
Mhm.
All
Speaking
right.
of what could be potentially a high scoring game, we'll see. Rams on the road at San Francisco. Rams favored minus 4.5. Over under is 49.5. Rams minus 225 on the money line. Desmond, I'll kick it off to you first here. Who do you have between the Rams and 49ers?
This might just be the toughest game of the week for me.
It really is.
Legitimately, these teams always play each other tough
Hmm.
every single time. It feels like it always comes down to the wire. Um, I like that the Rams have Puka Nacua back. I know he was injured for a couple weeks here. The 49ers doesn't seem to matter how many injuries they have. They just keep playing tough.
Yeah.
I like the 49ers at home though. I just think that their running game is a lot better with George Kittle in the lineup, and it doesn't feel like it matters if it's Brock Purdy or Mac Jones back there. They still get the same level of passing production off play action with McCaffrey. Yeah, I'm going to go 49ers here, taking out the Rams.
Yeah, I'll go. I agree with you. I'm going to go 49ers here. I know they kind of used the Giants as a make right game for rushing because they were just running all over the place. But again, you can blame Deontay Banks for not freaking knowing how to tackle a few years in. God, I wish he got traded at the deadline. But yeah, the Rams are rolling, but the 49ers are just a scrappy team. They've been playing teams tough and they're home. So I'm going to go with the 49ers as well. I completely agree with what you had to say, Desmond. Nico, who do you have between the Rams and 49ers?
To be honest with you, it's very hard for me. Like you both said, to pick a side. If I had to pick a side right now, I guess I would lean San Fran at home. But my second favorite play this week, my first one was Arizona. My second is the over in this game. I think
Mm.
it's going to be an absolute shootout, fun game to watch. That 425 game we always want. I really think this one's going to be like a 35-31 San Fran victory, I guess. Could possibly see the Rams. But yeah, I go San Fran at home.
You're going for the bad beat with only the four, not the 4.5. Mark,
That's
who do you
right.
have between the Rams and 49ers?
I'm going to take the Rams this time. I just think Stafford, low key, might be an MVP candidate. I think he might be leading the league in touchdown passes right now.
Yep.
Yep.
So I could see them very well just going upstate and taking care of business. The the 49ers, I don't know. I think it's one of Kyle Shanahan's best coaching jobs of his career, ironically, but I just don't think they have enough on that roster right now to hang on for the whole season. I think Devontae Adams has really been a great acquisition for the Rams, and I just kind of see them taking care of business here.
Yeah. Like I said, I think we have a good like second half of the day in terms of football games.
Yeah.
We're going which direction, but then again, I think this Rams 49ers game is going to be the tune in watch. But going to that, we're going to go to Sunday Night Football, which will hopefully be a fun and exciting matchup. As the Steelers are on the road at LA, I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of Pittsburgh Steelers fans are at this game because Chargers fans, they don't have any. I'll kick us off first, even though I just said that. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. I still don't truly, fully believe in the Steelers' defense. I know they had a good week against the Colts. I know they had a big win against the Colts. But I've been impressed with the Chargers' bounce back ability. They seem to be clicking on offense, and I think it continues here. So give me the Chargers at home -3 over Pittsburgh. Desmond, I'll go to you. Who do you have?
This is another tough one. Um, I'm picking the Steelers to win at home here, especially with the Chargers losing. And I said on home on purpose because I mean
Yeah,
come on now.
it's gonna be a home game for the
It's gonna be
Steelers. Yeah,
terrible towels going crazy
yeah,
in there. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be ridiculous. Chargers losing Joe Alt's a big deal.
Hmm.
They're still having some injuries at the receiver position. I just yeah, I don't like the Chargers' ability to actually keep up on offense here. I think the Steelers are going to be able to put up at least like 4 touchdowns. I don't think the Chargers will be able to do the same. Give me the Steelers.
All right, you heard it, Mark.
Yeah, give me the Steelers here. Getting the points. Just yeah, it's a home game for them. That's basically every away team with a decent fan base that plays at SoFi.
Yeah.
home game. So, and they had a great win last week against Indianapolis. The offense is finally humming under Aaron Rodgers, and the Chargers losing both their starting tackles is going to kill that team. That's very important for what they're trying to do. They want to run the ball, and I know they traded for Trevor Penning from the
Yeah.
Saints, former first round pick, but he's been inconsistent. So they had to do something though. So I don't think it's enough to help them though, and I think the Steelers still hang on to that division lead and cover here.
Nico.
I have the Chargers. I really like the Chargers. I think the Chargers are the better team. And I think the better team wins this football game. I do think Pittsburgh eventually has to lose, and I think this is the week they do it. Obviously, I think they lost a few weeks back, but nobody expected them to beat the Colts. And I really just don't think they beat the Chargers here on Sunday Night Football.
All right. All
We don't
right.
have a
And now,
graphic, but you just saved the graphic.
yeah,
All right, all right.
Yeah.
sure. Moving on, wrapping up our pick 'em in the podcast shortly. We got the Eagles at Green Bay at Lambeau. Packers are favored -2.5, over under 45.5, and -135 on the money line in favor of Green Bay. Desmond, Eagles fan, I'll go to you. Who do you have between the Eagles and Packers?
I say this every week. I'm going to keep saying it. I am not unbiased here. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan. I pick the Eagles every single time. I'm really worried about this game. The Packers coming off a loss are probably going to feel a little bit more desperate, especially at home, at night. I think that this could go like right down to the wire. One of those, 31-28 type of games, but I'm always going to pick the Eagles. So, just don't look to me for an unbiased opinion about the Eagles. I don't have one for you.
We'll go to someone a little unbiased. We'll go Nico. Who do you have in this one?
Yeah, so again, just to reference back a previous pod, I have mentioned that there's certain things that I think eat Nick Sirianni up and keep him up at night, such as like Tampa Bay dominating them over the past couple of years. I think that he is pissed off that this Green Bay Packers team tried to ban the tush push. I think
Oh,
they are fired up about that. That's on the bulletin board. I think all week this week he's referenced it in practice a few times, like they tried to ban this from you. And I really think the Eagles come in and they go into Lambeau and get the job done, which is very, very tough to do.
Nico, I'm going to be very mad at you if I'm going to have to yell on our group chat that the tush push has to get banned because they ran it 4 times in a row to score a touchdown like they
It,
did against the Giants. I'm
I
going to be very
wish,
mad.
I
I'm
wish
going to be
there
very
was
mad.
like I always said like one of my favorite things that like I would like to do is I would like to coach like a high school football team that isn't good and just run the tush push
Tush push.
every single play. And, like get the ball at the 25, run it every single play, consistently get 3, 4 yards of play until they physically have to ban it all over them. Like they like have to do something.
Nothing
I've
in,
seen the Vikings, the Chargers, the Cardinals, and the Steelers and the Bills all run the tush push in the last 2 weeks. So I feel like it's catching on a little bit, guys.
I don't know. It might be. I mean, after the Giants game when they ran it 4 times or 3 times or whatever it was to score a touchdown, I think everyone's like, yeah, let's just screw it. If no one's going to ban it, you can't beat them. Join them.
That was
Mark,
awesome.
who do you have? I hated it. I mean, I'm a Giants fan. I hated it anyway. Mark, who do you have between the Eagles and Packers this week?
Yeah, Josh Allen loves his tush push, that's for sure. Um, but I have the Eagles. Give me Eagles with the points. Just a weird loss for Green Bay last week.
Yeah.
They're just very inconsistent. I mean, they lost to Cincinnati earlier this year too, right?
They
Like
lost to Cleveland.
or
Who else
Cleveland.
is?
Yeah,
Sorry,
it was
yeah,
Cleveland,
Cleveland.
yeah.
Yeah.
AFC North team. So I think they just have that kind of weird loss in their DNA. And the Eagles, fresh off a few trades, I think they're ready to go. And I think they are taking that tush push ban to heart, and they're gonna make them pay for it. I think they might overuse it this game, maybe.
As much as it pains me to say this as a Giants fan, I'm also going to go with the Eagles covering here. Just seeing how the Packers were against the Panthers, I know it was a weird loss, but again, their offense was just out of sync. The defense still kept them in that game. I mean, their defense is still dominant, but it's always now a question of which Jordan Love you're going to get, like the guy, the gunslinger MVP kind of candidate, or like the guy who just can't complete a pass. And the Eagles coming off a bye, going on the road to Lambeau, they know how to play in tough situations with their new additions and everything, and they were rolling offensively finally going into the bye. I just can't see the Eagles losing this game. And I think the Packers, especially on offensive side, are going to continue to struggle, especially losing Tucker Kraft at ACL. Like that was as deflating of
That's
an
tough.
offensive loss as like you go. So not having him, who's become a primary player for them on the offense, losing him is going to be huge. So that's why I have the Eagles this week. But yeah, before we wrap up, any final thoughts going into this week, guys? Anything else you're looking forward to before I say goodbye to everyone? Anything exciting? Anything you guys are doing? What are you going to
Let's
do on Sunday?
I don't care who's at fault between the whole Disney and YouTube TV partnership, but I hope we come to
Oh,
an agreement to make my viewing
Please.
easier. I'm indifferent. I don't know who's being greedy. I know it's mixed reviews all over the world, but just figure it out. That's
I'm sure
all.
they
That's all
both
I
are.
ask.
Yeah,
That's
I,
it.
I
Just
figured
figure
it
it
was
out.
coming.
yeah, that was brutal. I
Yeah.
couldn't even watch it with ESPN Plus. It's like
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like
I
30
Oh,
bucks a
awful.
month now. It's like, come on.
Awful.
Sunday was all right. It was manageable for me because, like, obviously Sundays don't get affected, and Monday Night Football's able to manage. But like Saturdays, like I'm used to having 8 games on at once. Like, yeah, I had
Yeah.
to like kind of like figure it all out. It was brutal.
Couldn't watch Georgia on Saturday. I was trying to do these weird
Yeah,
nothing thing. Finally got on ESPN. I was like, finally I can watch on ESPN on freaking app, and it was frustrating. Any final thoughts, Desmond? I'll go you, and then we'll go Mark. Any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
Yeah, quick final thought. Also, this is an NFL podcast, but college football has been great this season.
Yeah.
So if you only watch the NFL, I think you're missing out because Saturdays are good or have great football too. So you should check out some of these college games going on this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. This is now the time in college football. If you're not college to watch, there's a lot of great games, a lot of things at stake going now, things getting finalized. If you're not, don't know what you're
You're
missing out,
missing
like
out.
Desmond just said.
You are missing
But
out.
now is the time. Now is the peak watching time of college football season where all these games freaking matter. I was on the edge of my seat that whole freaking Georgia game this weekend because my God, I thought we were going to lose. Mark, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest college football fan, but I locally support my Yukon football team. I went to a game on Saturday. They played UAB, took care of business, and I'm hoping we get a conference at some point because we're not Notre Dame. We should not be unaffiliated. We need to be
No.
in the ACC or
No.
something quick.
Big 12 will come scoop
yeah.
you up.
Yeah,
Yep. Or Big 12. Yep.
Yeah, Big 12. Some will sneak up. But yeah, I think the final thought, everyone, watch college football, but more importantly, also watch NFL football so you can tune in next week to another edition of the Yards After the Catch podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed listening. Please make sure to like and subscribe on Spotify, on YouTube. We're dropping content on our Instagram and our TikTok, so follow along. It's been an exciting season so far, and we're having a blast doing this podcast, and we'll continue to do so next week when we react to another fun edition of NFL football. So for right now, that is all. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time on Yards After the Catch.